Welcome back to the Little French Homestead. My name is Sherry, and thank you for coming back. So today I'm going to be cooking one of my family all-time favorites again. I also love this one as well. It's called chicken fried steak. So I've got here some cube steaks that we got from Publix. This is a very inexpensive meal if you're also too tight on a budget. 6 of these were only $10.90. And that's a pretty good deal in my book to feed a family of 6. So we got our dredging station over here. I've got some flour. To this we have seasoned salt, pepper, paprika. I'm going to leave you a list of the seasonings and down below. And we can go ahead and link it down. Going to give that a quick little mix up. And since my chickens are still laying some beautiful eggs, to this I've got 3 eggs. I like to give my eggs a quick little beat before I add any milk, just to make sure I do get all of it. And I'm only going to add a little bit. The recipe calls for like 1.5 cups of milk, but for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and use about 1 cup. And if I need more, I can always add more. My pan here, I'm going to go ahead and actually turn this on just so it can start heating. You want to just go ahead and give this a nice little dredge. You don't want it overloaded, but you want to make sure that it's a perfect. I'm going to add a little bit of oil to this. I'm just going to move it around. You're going to want to cook this in batches. You certainly do not want to cook this all at once. I'm going to get my tongs out. Because if you cook this all at once, you're going to actually bring the temperature of the meat and stuff down, and you don't want to do that. So I am going to just use my, what do you call this? My cutting board as my station. You typically want to go ahead and do 1 dry hand, 1 wet hand. You don't want to have 2 wets or 2 dries. So I'm just going to go ahead, dredge this. I'm going to try to pack it in as much as you possibly can to get all the little nooks and crannies in here. And then we're going to be making a very nice country style gravy to go over it. My mashed potatoes are already done and they are sitting in the back behind me. My mashed potatoes are just everybody's pretty much standard. Salt, pepper, butter, milk. That's all I do. I like to use a potato masher. Our family likes potatoes that got some lumps in there. You know, let me know if you like that too. Leave a comment down below. How does your family like their mashed potatoes? Do you like with or without lumps? I've always had it with lumps because that's how I grew up. My mom and dad were always making sure potatoes had lumps in them. Talking about my mom and dad, I went over to my parents' house the other day and they gave us some absolutely superb lettuce. I mean, like, they picked it at the peak of confection, not confection, the peak of production. And that's what's going along with this tonight. So it's going to be a little bit of bad and a little bit of good. Yeah, see, I totally did not need all of that milk. believe that this is ready. Once it sizzles, you hear that sizzling? That is a perfect sear. So I'm just gonna clean this right up and we'll finish the steaks. All right, so I already had to flip them over. And look at this beautiful browning that they're coming up with. You wanna probably do maybe 3 to 4 minutes on each side. I did turn the temp down, so now it's probably in between a 6, maybe a 7 on medium heat. You don't want to obviously burn them, but you obviously want to go ahead and cook them pretty thoroughly. I'm going to go ahead and get a plate out. And I'm just going to go ahead and set my plate right here so I can go ahead and just continue going this way. Then we're going to go ahead and make the country gravy right into this. So I still had a little bit of milk left from the egg batter, so I just poured it into the gravy, and we'll just have a little extra gravy tonight. That's not a big deal. Look at that. That is some beautiful color on this. Look at that. Love it. Now, I didn't realize this, or maybe I did and I didn't really think about it, but country fried steak or chicken fried steak, either way you say it, I normally call it chicken fried steak, but down here in the South, I usually call it country fried steak. But I was always curious to why they call it country fried steak. So I looked it all up, and it says because this is how you would normally cook fried chicken, is you batter it all up and you fry it in some oil. And so you normally would take now a cube steak, which is a cube steak is a nice piece of steak that's thoroughly tenderized, but it's more or less mechanically tenderized into like a little bit of a cube. And that's why they call it cube steak, which that's pretty good. I think I'm going to need to add a little bit more oil to this. It is not heating up as well as I thought. So I'm going to take out my chicken, my steak, but I'm going to set it down on a paper plate here. Let me go ahead and add a little bit more. Let me heat this back up again. Never had that happen before. Normally I have too much oil. There we go. I'll just throw that away. All right, so I'm going to finish all this all up. And when I get to the gravy, I'll bring you back along. All right, so now we got all of our chicken fried steak done. Now to this, we are going to add some flour. And I'm just going to grab a whisk real quick. So this is about a 1/4 cup of flour. Just going to mix it in with the leftover oil. It's going to come into a paste. You want to slowly add your milk in. And you don't want to add it all into one time. You want to be able to go ahead and get this flour incorporated If you pour the milk in too fast, sometimes you'll get lumps and you're not going to get a really nice smooth roux. That's essentially what you're making here in order to make the gravy. You need a fat flour of some sort and then a milk. So I mean, some roux are made with butter and flour. Some could be made with oil and flour. Stock, when you wanted to do like a nice brown gravy, you could also use oil, flour, and instead of milk, you would do then chicken stock or beef stock. I've got a video in the works for some shelf-stable dry gravy mixes. I would have done it with this one, but I really wanted to use these little bit of ingredients that I have here, since I've already had most of this stuff out. Now I'm just using also too the little brown bits that are still left in here. And now you go ahead and pour all the rest of it in here. Okay. You're gonna go ahead and add to your tasting salt and pepper. I'm gonna add just right about a teaspoon. And then the pepper. Sometimes you want to go a little bit heavier on the pepper to have a bit of a more white pepper flavor to it. Give it a nice little spicy kick, just like you would maybe in a sausage gravy and biscuits. You want to let this come up to a boil and reduce this down. And that's going to go ahead and give you your nice thick sauce that you're trying to obtain here. When I achieve that, I'll be back. All right, so we brought it up to a boil. I'm giving it a quick little stir, and then we're going to go ahead and turn this back down to low. And then we're going to allow this to reduce a little bit more. And then we're going to be pouring it all over our fried steaks. All right, so see how now my gravy turned out to be really nice and thick. This is absolutely perfect consistency that you want. Now I've got my chicken fried steak right over here. I am going to go ahead and just pick up one of these. We'll do a little taste test on right here in front of you. I was going to say TV, but I ain't on TV. But then I realized I probably am on some of you's TV. I'm just going to go ahead and gather up. Look at that. That is beautiful. I'm just going to take that off the heat for right now. Look at that. That is beautiful. I'm going to show you the salad that I made earlier today. Everything in there is from my dad's, all the lettuce, excuse me, is from my dad's garden. Wow. Good meal. All right. So here's the actual taste test. It's cooked perfectly. Wow. Oh, this is really good. Full of flavor and gravy. It's got a nice pepper flavor to it, but not overpowering, because I have a child that doesn't like hot pepper spicy stuff. Wow, this is really good. My mashed potatoes are super creamy. This is going to be one dinner for the books. And since mostly all this stuff was made from scratch, you spent $10.90 on the cube steak. And if you get about 4 or 5 potatoes for your family, I would probably say that's a dinner under $15 if you've got everything all else at home. All right, well, I want to say thank you for visiting the homestead today. My name is Sherry, and if you like these videos, please go ahead and like and share. But most importantly, subscribe. Keep on cooking. Thanks.